Black Friday and Cyber Monday is literally a few weeks away. In fact, some brands are promoting already. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 steps for exactly how we're setting up our Facebook accounts for Black Friday and Cyber Monday across all the clients that we manage. Now, I'm going to break down exactly the strategy, structure, creative, and allocation of your budget that you need to be dedicating to Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Every single step of this video is critical. This is crunch time. This is the biggest time of the year for e-commerce brands. One of the things that's so key right now is to not make emotional decisions in the fourth quarter. We need to make data-driven decisions. So I'm going to show you the setup that you can use, literally copy and paste into your account on easy mode. Now, the best part about this is I'm going to show you what to do and how to set things up depending on how big your budget is today. So this video is going to apply to all brands of all sizes, especially and specifically e-commerce brands. So the first thing I want you to keep in mind is that this is separate from what you're doing on an evergreen basis. This is separate from your normal campaigns. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click create right inside of our ad account, and we're going to click the sales objective. Everything we're doing is going to be focused on the sales objective because during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and really the entire holiday period, we're hyper focused on driving purchases, raising our return on ad spends, and scaling. Sales objective is what we are selecting. Click continue. And then we're going to do 2 things here. And we're going to start with the most simple Advantage Plus shopping campaign. So literally just click continue here. And then when we're in this first Advantage Plus shopping campaign, I like to name these specifically for Black Friday. So I'm going to say ASC_BFCM, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. As we scroll down, we want to make sure we're using website and shop as long as you have that integration set up. Make sure you select your proper pixel, skip your cost per result goal. We are not using cost caps. We are not using bid caps in the fourth quarter. We need to scale at our own pace, which we're going to break down by the end of this video. Click on more options here and make sure your attribution is set to 7-day click, 1-day view. And then when we go to audience location, just select your complete country that you need to scale with it. So in this case, we're just advertising in the United States and we don't have any specific exclusions for this ad account. Next, when it comes to reporting, you want to define your audience segments. So right here for this example, this is a dummy account, so I don't have the audience selections set up, but what you want to do is set up your engaged audiences to be anyone who's visited your site and anyone who's engaged on your Instagram and your Facebook, and then your existing customers to be a complete list, either imported from Klaviyo and imported from your pixel, so that your existing customers are completely defined. Now, when it comes to daily budget, this is where things get interesting, and this is going to depend. So I'm going to break down scenarios throughout this video for exactly how much budget you should set. But as a general rule, just so we're starting, we're just going to assume that around 40% of the total daily budget is going to be allocated to this Advantage Plus campaign. So in this case, we're going to assume we're spending $1,000 per day. So I'm going to set this daily budget to $400. As we continue to scroll down, none of these other settings need to be set up. Okay. This is the very, very first step. The next thing that we are going to do is we're going to create a second campaign, sales objective again, and we're going to use a manual sales campaign. This campaign is going to be our prospecting CBO campaign. This is going to be where we leverage broad audiences and the best interests that we've set up all year. So if you're listening this far, this is the most important part. This is the core of your account. This is what's going to drive you above and beyond all of your competitors in the fourth quarter. So keeping our same naming convention, we're going to name this prospecting_CBO because it's a CBO setup, and then BFCM for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So scrolling down a bit here, for our buying type, we're going to keep auction. The sales objective is staying as sales. We are not going to select catalog ads here because if we are using catalog ads, we're going to do them at the ad level. Scrolling down a touch more, there is no campaign spending limit. We are not setting these, especially in Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and fourth quarter periods. Next, Advantage campaign budget. We are going to select this on. This is known as CBO. So for this is going to represent the other 40% of the account. So in this case, $400 per day. Our campaign bid strategy is going to be highest volume. Now, you're going to notice here that I often talk about cost caps, bid caps, and different scenarios that you can set up, even target ROAS. However, in this specific case, we want to set highest volume. During the fourth quarter, it's critical that we can scale at the pace that we want to. So we're going to set highest volume, and we are not going to select any budget scheduling, at least for now. As we scroll down, same thing I mentioned in the ASC campaign, we want our engaged audiences and our existing audiences to just be set up here and defined. We don't need to bid on them. We don't need to change anything special about it. We just need them to be perfectly set up. As we continue to build this campaign out, the next thing we need to focus on are our ad sets and our audiences. So for our very first ad set, what we're actually going to be doing is setting up a 100% broad audience. So this is meant to just be an overarching wide audience for us that's really just going to take care of a lot of prospecting in a similar way that the Advantage Plus does. We're going to name this broad We're going to set this to website and shop or just website, depending on what you're specifically running. And then for our performance goal, we're going to either select maximize number of conversions or we're going to select maximize value of conversions. If you're an e-commerce store with a lot of products, select maximize value of conversions. If you have one single product or just a few products, maximize number of conversions is a little bit easier for Facebook to optimize on. Scrolling down a little bit more, our conversion event, of course, is going to be purchase, and we are not setting up a cost per result goal because we're running on the highest volume strategy. Moving down a bit more, our attribution setting is 7-day click, 1-day view, and we are not selecting dynamic creative. Dynamic creative is actually discontinued in most ad accounts. This is a rare case where we still have the ability to use it, but especially in the fourth quarter, we're not testing anymore. We're not testing in the fourth quarter. We are aggressively scaling in the fourth quarter. So no to dynamic creative. For budget and schedule, this is obviously going to depend on the exact start dates and end dates, which we'll get to in just a few moments here. But for now, we can keep this completely blank. We're not setting any ad spending limits, and we're not budget scheduling at all. For our audience controls, because this is a broad campaign, we are leaving this as is. We're not touching anything here. The only little tweak that you could possibly change is the minimum age. If you sell a product that is not applicable for 18 plus and has a specific cutoff on the minimum age, set this right here. It's not really a big deal. For our audience, because this is broad, we're actually going to do something different here. We're not going to use the Advantage Plus audience, which allows it to expand and expand. This is already what's happening in our ASC campaign, so it's handled. What we're going to do instead is switch to original audience options. We're going to select original audience, and then we're going to leave this completely blank. What this allows us to do is set specific age ranges and specific gender targeting. So if you're a brand that only needs to target men or only needs to target women or only needs to apply to a certain range, you could define that here. Those are the only restrictions that we want to have in this broad ad set. I need to be very clear about that. We're not doing any interest targeting here. We're not doing massive amounts of exclusions or massive amounts of targeting in any way. We're just focused on age and gender if necessary, and in most cases, do nothing. Leave this completely broad and let it rip. For placements, we're using Advantage Plus placements, and then as we continue to scroll down, there's no other settings here. The next thing that we are going to do is we're going to duplicate this exact broad ad set. So we're clicking the quick duplicate option in Facebook. We're going to scroll all the way back to the top. And this is where we start to do stuff that's more interesting. No pun intended, but we're going to run interest here. So basically what happens at this point is now you have to look back at your old data in your ad account that you've been running all year long. So if you're running your ads all year long, months and months and months of data, what I want you to do is pull your top 2 to 3 interests. That is the most important thing that you can do. So what we're going to do is go back into our ad accounts. We're going to look what has performed the absolute best for us. Now let's define best. Defining best is the most spend and high return on ad spend or high KPI, whatever you're targeting. So we're not really focused on those, couple of audiences that drove $500 of spend and had a 20 return on ad spend. We're focused on those that spent thousands and thousands that represent a huge portion of your account. So if you've run interest in the last year, take that data and drop it in right here. The key of what we're doing here is we're setting interest, and then I would define the interest here. Let's just pretend Nike was a top interest of ours. We're setting everything else exactly the same as the broad audience, except when we go down to this section right here where we have our audience set up, we're just going down to the advantage detailed targeting, which is where we select our interest, and we're choosing our number 1 interest of the year. The expectation is that this interest does better than everything else because it's proven to do better, right? This is not a time for testing. I want to make sure that's loud and clear. This is not the time we try a new interest or think of something new. This is when we use the best of the best and we scale it as aggressively as possible. So in this case, I'm going to assume that Nike as an interest was really strong for us. And be careful when you're selecting your interest, because as you can see here, I have 4 options for what Nike could be: employers, schools, job titles, and interests. So I want to choose interest. Once that's set, we're going to see our audience size deplete. That's completely okay. We want this to happen. We want to create a little bit of a refined audience. After that, we're keeping everything the same as the broad ad set. So the placements are going to continue to be Advantage Plus placements, and there's going to be no changes to our brand safety, suitability, or anything else. Once we complete this interest, we're going to do the same process 2 to 3 times depending on how much you're spending. So let's start with Nike. We're going to quickly duplicate again, and then we're just going to change this to, let's say, Adidas. Maybe we're a footwear brand, who knows? And then we're going to quickly duplicate again, and then I'm going to try something a little bit different, and we're going to use a Range Rover let's say, right? More of that luxury feel. Now, these are proven in your ad account. I'm just doing this on the fly so that you don't have to wait as I go through all of my account data. What I want you to see here is that you have to create multiple interests with your best, most proven interest from the entire year. That's the key. So once we create this, and don't worry, we're going to get into the ads in just a few minutes here. Once we create this, we now have at the campaign level 2 campaigns. We have our Advantage Plus scaling campaign, and we have a prospecting CBO campaign. The next campaign that we are going to set up is a retargeting campaign. So we're using the same sales objective, manual sales campaign, and we are going to name this Retargeting, CBO, BFCM. So for our campaign settings, we're following the same as the last 2, clicking Advantage Campaign Budget. And then for this, it's going to represent about 10% of our daily spend. So if we're spending $1,000 a day, that means we're going to have a $100 budget. Everything else, as per usual, stays exactly the same. We're going to go down to our ad set here. There's really only 2 audiences / ad sets that you need in your retargeting campaign. Now, if you have something that you really feel like you need to target or has proven to work for you in the past, this is a great opportunity to add a 3rd ad set. But what I'm giving you here is the 2 most important ones that cover really about 80 to 90% of everything that you need to get from a retargeting campaign. So again, setting this to website and shop, selecting our performance goal as either maximize number of conversions or maximize value of conversions, selecting our pixel using a 7-day click, 1-day view attribution window, not selecting dynamic creative, and then scrolling down to Advantage Plus audience and switching to original audience. This is extremely important in the retargeting campaign. If you don't do this, it's going to expand beyond the retargeting specific audiences that we choose. So once you're here, the big difference here is we are no longer using this interests section, and we are using the custom audiences section. So all I want you to do is select the 30-day site visitors audience. It's going to be anyone who's visited your site in the last 30 days. Now, I know that the first thing you're going to want to do after you set this is put an exclusion for past purchasers. You might be right when it comes to long periods of time. Over the course of the year, exclusions are really helpful. However, when it comes to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, to be completely honest, I don't care where the conversion falls. I don't care if it's in your prospecting campaign, your retargeting campaign, your retention campaign, and a campaign we haven't even got to yet. I just care that you get the conversion. So we are not using any exclusions here whatsoever. We don't care about the swim lanes. We care about the conversion and the purchase happening. And we never want to put ourselves in a scenario where we run out of budget or someone can't be targeted when they really should be. So we are setting up our custom audience with just site visitors, and we are not adding any exclusions. All of the other settings remain exactly the same. So we are keeping age, gender, and placements as is, just like you set them in all of your other ad sets. The next thing that we're going to do is quickly duplicate this 30-day site visitors audience, and we are going to create a 90-day add to cart or checkout. This is going to be anyone who's added to cart or initiated checkout within the last 90 days. This is a huge group. Now, I just told you about exclusions on my site visitors. This is going to be different for our add to cart or 90-day checkouts. Because this is so far down the funnel, we do need to put an exclusion here. So what we're going to do here, we're going to set our 90-day add to cart or checkout. We're keeping all settings exactly the same as we have been this entire time. We're going down to audiences. We're selecting here a 90-day checkout or a 90-day add to cart. Ideally both if you have them available on your Shopify. And then we're adding the exclusion for the first time. And that exclusion is going to be purchasers over the last 90 days. And after we set our inclusions and exclusions, we are keeping all settings the same. United States, 18 to 65, all genders, unless you have specific things that you're setting up for your account. All placements are going to be enabled, especially when it comes to retargeting. Now, our very last campaign. Our very last campaign is going to be something I always recommend when it comes to our normal structure, and you especially need it when it comes to Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So to keep this really simple, we're just going to duplicate our retargeting campaign, and we're going to change this from retargeting to retention. Now, you have to define retention. When it comes to retention, retention literally means the customer has transacted with you. It doesn't mean that they've told you they're going to buy. It doesn't mean that you think they're going to buy. It doesn't mean they signed up for 101 different things on your site. It means they've handed you money, right? That is the most important differentiation point. People say they're going to do a lot of things until they actually do it, until they actually cross that finish line and transact on your site and buy a product and get to feel your product. They're not officially a customer. So retention CBO is focused all on retargeting existing customers, the cash cows of your business, and getting them to buy second, third, fourth, fifth time, especially when it comes to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the holiday season. This is going to be the most simple setup we have. In the very first ad set, we're setting up 180-day purchasers. The 180-day purchasers is going to come from your pixel. So we're going to scroll all the way down and just hot route right to custom audiences. This is going to be a 180-day purchase event coming from your pixel, and ideally also coming from your CRM. If you're using Klaviyo, if you're using SendLane, you should be able to import all of that customer information over the last 180 days directly into Facebook ads. The next audience that we're setting up here is going to be an all-time purchasers list. So we're going to name this all-time purchasers. And then as we scroll down in our inclusions, we're going to set up our all-time purchasers list. And then in our exclusions, we are going to exclude purchasers 180 days, which we've set up right here. Just going to give us a little bit of a breakpoint so that we're not both targeting 180-day purchasers, and we have a little bit of point of differentiation here. Age, gender, and advanced response targeting are remaining the same. We're not touching them unless there's very, very specific things that you need to do based on your business, namely around age and gender. So this is the core of our setup. We have that Advantage Plus scaling campaign representing 40% of our budget. We have a prospecting CBO campaign packed with a broad audience and multiple proven interests. And then we have a retargeting campaign that's really specifically focused on getting people to get over the finish line that have been to your site recently but haven't made a purchase. And then finally, we have the retention campaign focused on being the cash cow for your business, getting people to repeat purchase a second, third, fourth, fifth time. Okay, now that we have our setup completely covered, it's now time to talk about how to spend, where to spend, and specifically how to scale your budgets over the course of the month. So there's a lot of theory out there on YouTube about this. There's so many gurus, so many consultants, agencies that all say, even Facebook says, scale by 10% per day, scale by 20% per day. I'm here to tell you that that is nonsense. If you are above your KPI, you could smash the scale button as aggressively as possible. Now, that doesn't mean if you're just above your KPI, if you're just above your ROAS target, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you spend from $1,000 a day to $20,000 a day. But what it definitely does mean is if you're above your KPI by a large margin, you could increase well beyond 20%. Now, here's how I evaluate amongst my ads exactly when I know it's time to scale. So once you're in your ad account, go to your column set, scroll down to the bottom and click compare attribution windows. Once you're here, you're going to see a lot of options. What we really want to focus on is 7-day clicks and 1-day views. Click apply. And what you're going to notice is that all of your column sets now break down where your purchases and where your revenue is coming from by either 1-day view or 7-day click, or your total, which is either 1-day view or 7-day click combined. What we have here, for example, on this top campaign that drove 27 purchases in the last 7 days, we have 17 were view through and 10 were click through. What I like to look at when I'm scaling are all of my ad sets, all of my ads, and all of my campaigns on a total click-based conversion. Now, that doesn't mean we set our campaigns for click-only attribution. We still set our campaigns for 7-day click and 1-day view. But what it does mean is that we look and optimize on a 7-day click when the data is the most surefire. So let's take this exact campaign, for example. So if I was looking to scale this account, especially if it's in a Black Friday, Cyber Monday promotional period, I would particularly look at the cost per acquisition and my return on ad spend on a 7-day click versus on a 1-day view. So when I look inside this account right now, I could just quickly scan and notice that there's one campaign that is a huge outlier. This campaign in particular is driving an $81 cost per acquisition, which is very, very good for this brand, while all the others are averaging $140. So I want to scale this campaign in particular very aggressively. Now, I'm not just going to scale it by an extra 20%. I am completely comfortable during a promotional period scaling by up to 3, 4, 5 times the budget. So in this case, this campaign is only spending about $200 to $300 per day. So I'm actually going to double this budget flat out. Now, this is going to reset the learning phase. We are going to go back into learning, but I don't really care about learning because the learning phase in reality has already been established at the ad level and the ad set level. The only thing we're really resetting is the campaign level learning because we're using a CBO budget. And honestly, that's not a big deal. It's not influencing who you're targeting. It's not influencing who your creatives are being matched to. All it's doing is doing a campaign wide reset, and it'll be over that hump in just a few days because we've doubled the budget. We're going to get twice as many learnings twice as quick. Now, the next thing you need to do super well throughout the holiday period is you need to actually spend your money when it's most likely to convert. Now, what this means for a lot of people is it means they're only going to save their budgets to be spent on Black Friday and on Cyber Monday. I'm here to tell you that's not the strategy that you should be deploying. What I have here on my screen is a company called Varos. What Varos allows all of us to do is actually see the complete coverage of all accounts in your category. So what I've done here is I'm specifically looking in the beauty and cosmetics category category, and I'm breaking this down across all the brands that we work with, plus another peer set of over 10,000 direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands. And what we can see here is that our CPMs, which is our cost per advertising, defined as the average cost for every 1,000 impressions. This is your baseline for how much does your advertising cost. And we can see across the median, which is going to be this line right here, we can see it increases nearly every single day from October 1st all the way until Black Friday, and then it slowly drops off. So what everyone is doing is everyone is spending during this chunk of time right here. If we start our spending earlier, when conversion rate is still higher, but CPMs are still lower, then we're going to put ourselves at a huge advantage. So if you're watching this and you haven't started your sale yet, I would advise you get it going now. And finally, the moment everyone has been waiting for, what are the creative recommendations that I actually have? What are the creatives that we have seen work the best across all of our brands? What I have right here is creative inspo derived from Motion and the Facebook ads library. Both of these platforms to look at the collections and creative are completely free, so you can get inspiration from anywhere you want. This is what we handpicked, and this is what we're recommending to all of the clients that we work with. So first things first, quality statics. Quality statics are going to drive your performance all Black Friday, all Cyber Monday. These are longevity pieces. They last a long time and they get your message out very, very clearly. Now, you're going to notice some things that are really obvious about these designs. Starting at just the first one here, it is so in your face. Product is very clear on the right-hand side and messaging is super clear on the left. This is very easy for the consumer to digest, very easy to actually understand. Why I love this so much is because we're able to get across what our product is in a half a second, and we're able to hit our biggest messaging very bold. If you remember, just a year ago, we weren't even allowed to put text on ads. Now, Facebook has opened up those guidelines. Text on ads is common and it's completely allowed. So in this case, what I would do specifically for Black Friday or Cyber Monday, really just your entire promotional period, is changing "don't miss out" to Black Friday sale, and then use the rest of the subtext to describe your sale. Keep it simple, stupid is the methodology that we always want to apply here. Just keeping the messaging very simple, to the point, so that a user could literally flick right by it and still get that little capture of what the message is. We can see the same exact thing for our second inspiration here. Best-selling 2-packs for first-timers. That's another way of saying buy one, get one free. We can see a similar setup in our second ad here. This second ad is really, really clear. Product on the right side, logo at the top, review at the bottom, and then the core call to action on the left side. Best-selling 2-pack for first-timers. Really strong, right? Really simple and to the point. Now, you of course change this for your holiday promotion. 30% off site-wide, and then under with the review, make it something custom to what one of your best customers has said about you. Next here, we have the rainy day dog walker. Super simple. I think you're getting the point of this by now. The real key is that we are having product be placed right in your face. These shoes are very, very clearly right smack in our face, and then using the text that's provided here. So while this says rainy day dog walker, in reality, we want to change this to the Black Friday sale starts now, or a message that you can curate for your brand. We see the same thing with Honeylove, a bra brand, doing an amazing job of just clear product placement followed by bold text on screen. This is a story format that they're also using in static squares. Liquid Death has also done a good job here. Now, Liquid Death is actually coming from a slightly different angle. They're coming out from it's sold out already. So they're not discounting here, but they're saying, hey, this sold out once, get it now. The real thing that I want you to take away is look how good this headline is. Product placement is super strong and the headline is incredible. Same thing we have with these last two ads here, which are very eye-catching, but for good reason. We have great product placement, the bra TikTok raves about, which could be altered to exactly what you're promoting this Black Friday period. And last, we have a message that's actually quite funny. The best butt ever, only $99, swipe up to shop. Now, I think this is a little too specific for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. In fact, I'd probably just change this to the best deal ever, only X dollars, swipe up to shop, or click now to shop. The idea here overall across these ads is that we have very, very engaging, bold headlines followed by a product right alongside so that you can get the message out in just a few seconds. Moving down, we also have 1 hour ads. These are called ugly ads. I refer them often as ugly ads. So ugly ads essentially trick the consumer into not realizing that they actually are looking at an ad, but get a really strong, compelling message across. Ugly ads are generally very straight to the point if they're good, especially during promotional periods. So I want to give you a few examples of ones that I really, really like. First is the classic iPhone Notes app ad. Basically, this ad doesn't look like an ad at all. Someone no joke, went into their notes section of their phone, put their phone on dark mode, put a screenshot in there, put the big headline, took a screenshot of it, boom, now we're here, right? It's legitimately as simple as that. The next one here is a little custom, but it's still what I would consider an ugly ad. This is something that looks like a pop-up on screen. Of course, it's not a pop-up on screen, but it just looks so different from a normal placement, which is why I would consider it ugly, and it gets the message across really quickly. Free trial, accept, tell me more. Next, one of my favorites, our sale page is the real deal by Bonobos, one of my favorite brands. Really, really straightforward, right? This is an ad that took them maybe 30 seconds. They probably did it in Canva. All they had to do was say, our sale is happening. We are on sale. We don't even need to tell you what we are. We're just on sale. Getting your message across is sometimes half the battle. The last two are called sticky note ads. Sticky note ads really got popular thanks to a bunch of influencers in this space over the last 6 months, maybe 1 year. And what we've seen is sticky note ads work really well at engaging people, and sometimes, if done properly, getting people over the line to actually make a purchase. So 2 forms of sticky note ads exist. The first on the left side here is a real sticky note on a screen or on a phone or on a table, and a screenshot of that next to the product. Another way that you could easily do this is you could literally put a sticky note on top of your product if your product's big enough, and then have your message be curated on that sticky note. The second sticky note version is actually just a static text ad, but handwritten. So we see here, limited time Mother's Day deals up to 49% off. Let's just change this to Black Friday. Now, they did some fun font and it looks really pretty, but to be honest with you, I have done this with bold Sharpies and my handwriting stinks. So it doesn't matter. Just get your message across, get it out in multiple variations to people. And the last thing, the last creative recommendation that I have for the fourth quarter that's going to take your brand to new heights. And I really, really mean this, because this ad format absolutely makes or breaks brands. It is so critically important to put your face associated to your brand if you're a solo founder. The long form explainer is the single best way. I can't emphasize this enough. It is the single best way to get your name out there behind your product and to build trust immediately with your brand. Instantly, you can build trust with a good long form explainer. The long form explainer is where the founder stands in front of the camera, just like this, and they hit an intro, a hook, a body, proof, a promise, and a call to action. The most critical part of the long form explainer is the intro and the hook, and that you're actually delivering on your promise. So here's how this would look to most people. It would say, hi, I am so-and-so, and I'm the founder of X brand. At X brand, we do this. If you really want to gear this to be more promotional, you could say, hey, my name's Sam, and I'm the founder of XYZ, and we're having a 30% off sale for Black Friday. Now, I know I'm just giving examples here, and this is probably a weird format to be giving examples, but the most important thing you need to recognize here is that each section of the long form explainer can be chopped and changed, so you can have tons of variations of that long form explainer. So look, overall, long form explainer, one of the best ways to associate your face to your brand, to the consumer in a really, really, really quick way. This is the most important time of the year when it comes to direct to consumer e-commerce brands. You need to get Black Friday and Cyber Monday right, and you need to hit it hard. If you're half-assing this in any way, shape, or form, you are going to fall tremendously behind. Brands that hit this time of year really well establish a new baseline for 2025. They're able to take those customers that they acquire right now and bring them into the new year and scale effectively. This is where the most growth happens over the course of the entire year in just a 40-day period. So I highly, highly advise you implement these strategies effectively. Now, if this is way too much for you, if this goes way over your head in one ear, out the other, and you need a certified expert to actually manage your ads, then hit the link down below or go to the Moonlighters.com, where we help e-commerce brands scale from $1 to $10 million using the M3 method. Link is down below, and I hope everyone got a lot of value out of this video.